Welcome back to the 305 Gridiron, everybody. It's been a minute. On this week's show, we are getting ready for the offseason. Specifically, we're talking about what to expect this offseason. John Eric Sullivan is our new GM. Jeff Halfley is our new coach. Almost every position coach has changed, sans three of them. Our quarterback coach left already to be an offensive coordinator, so we need a new one of those too. There's a lot going on in Miami with our beloved Dolphins. So today's show, we're going to talk about what the reality of our cap situation is. What's our window, like our performance window? Where do the Dolphins sit right now in terms of, are they playoff worthy? Are they Super Bowl bound? Or are they in the gutter for the next 4 years? And then last but certainly not least, the approach to free agency. Do we favor an aggressive approach to a free agency or a conservative approach? We'll talk about what that means, what we're in favor of, and what we expect from this new staff. All right, we are back for some more Miami Dolphins talk on the 305 Gridiron. To my left, I, of course, am joined by my boy, Aqua Ace, a.k.a. Josh. Yep, I flipped it this time.
I like it.
About it. And I, of course, am Anthony Pinzone, and we are here to talk to you about the Miami Dolphins. Of course, we should not go any further without congratulating Seattle Seahawks and the Seattle Seahawks fans for a fantastic Super Bowl. I thought a lot of people were like, this Super Bowl blew because it was slow. And I mean, as a rival to the New England Patriots, or a fan of a team that's a rival to the New England Patriots, I couldn't got any more of that. I loved it. I could have watched another 60 minutes of it.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was a defensive masterclass. I absolutely, and I love games like that. Yeah. Look, the games where it's like 57-42, those games are fun. Don't get me wrong, but I really enjoyed the chess match because one mistake, the game, the momentum would swing the other way, and it was really fun. And it was cool to see the Patriots lose. I'll always sign up for that.
The Patriots offense made no sense, right? Yeah. Like they went like 55 minutes not being able to do anything. And then they had two drives that probably totaled 5 minutes where they just went down the field and scored a touchdown. Yeah. It was like, why didn't you do that the rest of the game?
You could tell that each coordinator, more specifically, at least in my opinion, on the New England side, they were so worried about the one mistake that it prevented them from just kind of not thinking too much and just do what they do best, which is leak their running back out, dump it off until the defense collapsed, and then hit a mid-range over the middle.
Yeah, and it would behoove us not to turn this into a Dolphins conversation. One thing I really learned from this, and I think that the Dolphins should learn from this, is that Mike Macdonald did not waver from his style of football.
No.
He did not go out there and say, okay, Sam, it's time to throw it 50 times. Like, that did not happen. The MVP of the game was Kenneth Walker, the running back for the Seattle Seahawks. Like,
rightfully so.
They played amazing defense. They had an amazing running game. Kenneth Walker just kept beating them in and beating them until he was able to rip off the long runs, of which he had several. So I thought, like, the lesson learned that I would love to see our team take is just, like, stick to your guns, man.
Yeah, it was cool. It was really cool to see him like stick to the run. Okay, it was 3 and out. They ran the ball 2 out of the 3 times. They punted. When they got the ball back, they went back to the run game, and they kept going at it and wearing them down. Something Mike McDaniel never did, and something we hopefully won't have to experience again.
And it was a close game for a very long time. I mean, it was like,
was it 9 points at half?
Yeah, I think so. It was like
9-0.
The Seattle drove down in the opening possession. They got 3. They stalled, right? And then their next possession, right down again, and we got 3, right? And then, like, they went back and forth on punts for a while, and then they got another field goal right before the half. And they didn't score their first touchdown until the second half. And New England didn't do anything in the first half. In fact, the announcers, Collinsworth and Tirico, were talking about how it was like the worst offense.
This is worst first half. They had 57 yards at half, I think is what it was.
Which was it's insane. I just can't even. it gives me so much hope as a Dolphins fan because that unit was in shambles 2 years ago, the
Mhm,
Seahawks, right?
mhm.
Like they literally got rid of DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, and their fans were like, "Well, I guess we're giving up," right? Like,
Yeah. And then stumbled into Jackson Smith and Jigba and Sam
yeah,
Darnold, who, fun fact for those of you that aren't aware, I'm sure everyone is, but I absolutely love this little fun tidbit. Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Sam Darnold were the four quarterbacks, the four prominent quarterbacks taken in that draft.
mhm.
I'm blanking on the year. Sam Darnold is the first one to make it and win a Super Bowl.
That's
Look,
crazy. Just like we drew it up. Just
I
like we
mean,
drew it up.
just we all knew it.
Wasn't he was the first quarterback taken in that draft,
Nope.
right?
It was Mayfield at 1, and then the Jets took him at 2 or 3. I
Yeah.
can't remember.
It's insane to look back and be like,
Mhm.
Mayfield, Darnold,
And then it was Allen,
Allen,
and then
Lamar
was
way
was
down.
32. So the Ravens
32, end of the
so
first round.
was it Josh Allen was taken 7 or 8? 7. I think it was
Something like
7.
he was in the top 10 still,
Yeah.
but yeah. Yeah.
And then the Ravens picked sometime somewhere in the middle or early 20s, and
Yeah.
then traded back up into I think the 31st or the 32nd pick to get Lamar.
Yeah. Absolutely insane.
Yeah.
I mean, and it still happens today. People will be like, it doesn't happen anymore. We have all this research to do it. No, it does. It happens all the time.
You never
It
know
happens all the time.
for a reason, man.
Yeah. The quarterback to me is the single hardest position for
Mhm.
GMs and scouts to grade.
Yeah, very, very few come out and you're like when Andrew Luck came out, I knew he was going to be good.
Yeah.
Like, no, he was going to be like generational.
Yeah.
Peyton Manning, you knew he was going to be good.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But very
The
few.
only what I have missed a lot. I
Mhm.
missed a lot on swung and missed a lot. I thought Herbert was going to be awful. Very wrong there. I thought the other kid who Arizona took was going to be good. He was
Kyler Murray.
awful. No, the other one, the white kid who ended up coming to us. They drafted him the year before Murray
Yep, that guy,
out of
Josh.
UCLA.
Is it Josh? Something?
Yeah, Josh
Something.
something,
Yeah,
whatever.
that guy.
But then when they drafted Murray, everybody was talking up Murray like he was going to be the next great thing, and I was like, I don't think so, man. Like that was the only one I hit on was Kyler Murray because I
Mhm.
thought that short quarterbacks were a thing all of a sudden because Russ hit, right?
Yeah, Russ hit
But
big.
like they weren't the norm. You
Mm-mm.
couldn't just take any short quarterback and make him great.
Yep.
And Arizona staked their entire livelihood on it, and look where they've gotten a lot of coaches fired in that time.
No
A lot of
kidding.
GMs fired in that time too.
And we understand that. We understand the short quarterback plight. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Speaking of,
Let's talk cap. All right, man. I know that you and I love talking numbers here, so we'll try to keep it as digestible as possible for you all today. But we are talking the reality of the cap situation. Obviously, the cap has gone up a significant amount. I think you sent us an article. It was like 100 million or something like that.
yeah, 2 years consecutive.
2 years consecutive. Okay, so it's at 304 million this year. Correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, Josh.
Nope, that's right.
But Miami, even with the elevated cap alleviation, let's call it, is still over the cap by a significant margin.
Yep.
So give us a picture here. How much are we talking over the cap? And are we in a bit of a panic? Are we in like a Saints modeled panic mode right now where we have to sell the farm just to comply? Or are we in a little better shape than that?
No, we're in much better shape. I mean, much better shape in looking through the lens of the Saints from a couple of years ago.
Sure.
No, I mean, we're not in great shape. We're 20-ish, right? These are loose numbers. Well, not loose. They're quasi tight numbers, but we're in the 20 to 23 million range over the cap before any moves have been made.
Yeah.
We also have an incoming amount of 35. I think it's 35 in dead money. Which is accounted for,
dead money, yeah.
which is accounted for in our numbers.
Yep.
So I mean, one or two of the moves that we assume this team is going to make, which we will talk about momentarily here, we're back in the green, right? Not substantially, but we are at least not over the cap, and we are cap compliant, which is huge. Because penalties and all kinds of other things are associated with that. So, and then additional moves can be made additional re-signings can be made, which will get us a little bit of breathing room. We're not going to look at the end of the day. Sorry, guys. If you don't know this, you never will. 2026 is going to be tight. This is a full reset year. We're resetting the team. We're resetting the front office. We're resetting the culture. We're resetting the expectations. We're resetting, accountability and all of the mentality and all of everything that goes into building a football team from the ground up. We are starting from scratch. And to do that, which is all what we've been clamoring for 2 decades, things have to get tight. We have to take our medicine. We have to, decisions were made, none of which is on the new front office. And we have to just, at some point, we got to pay the piper. And this year is going to be tight. We're going to be relying quite a lot on younger players. We're going to be relying on 1-year free agent signings if and when those are our thing, which we will talk about momentarily. But yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So the cap situation is not great. It's not the worst. There are actually 3 other teams with a worse cap situation, thus including a $62 million deficit for the Kansas City Chiefs, which is insane, by the way. Yeah. So good luck to them. Actually, no, not good luck to them. I hope you have a really hard time getting under the cap.
I hope they don't get under the cap.
Yeah, I hope you're non-compliant.
And honestly, I don't know what happens.
Nobody's ever done it. Yeah. I don't think. I'm sure somebody has. Somebody in the comments is going to be like, yeah, it happened in 1973 and blah, blah. All right, whatever. Let's go. What should Miami do, though, in this situation, right? So we're $23 million over the cap. We do have some veteran contracts that are weighing heavy on the cap situation right now. We have a quarterback who is essentially, it looks like, played his last down for Miami. We don't know that for a fact yet. But in all the press conferences that they did, offensive coordinator, head coach, GM, every single one of them was asked about Tua, and every single one of them took a politically correct answer that didn't commit to Tua. So you got to figure that if Tua is not gone this year, he's definitely gone next year, which means that doesn't really guarantee he has a starting position this year, a la Kirk Cousins for the Falcons over the past few years. So what can Miami do? Like, are there any quick wins that they could do that help us get compliant?
I mean, a few that I can think of right off the top is obviously Tyreek Hill is gone, right? We're not keeping him at $53 million because that's what he would be owed. And now I think
crazy.
33 of that is his. We get, I think we get $32 million in cap savings by releasing him or getting him off the books.
It depends on if it's pre or post June 1st, of course.
Yeah.
Post June 1st is $35 million.
Yeah. So I mean but again, that's where getting us back into the green. Like that's one move that instantly gets us back in the green, and we have a couple million to play with, right? And that's just from one move. Players like Bradley. Go ahead.
Before you move on to Chubb, I want to talk about one thing first. Can we explain kind of how, in layman's terms, how that works, right? So because people are probably like hearing the numbers, right? So Tyreek's cap number is $51 million, right? But we could save $35 million. So people might be wondering, well, what happens to the nearly $16 million? That's the difference between the 51 million cap number and the 35 million savings number. And the reality is that's dead money for next year, right?
Yes. And look, super layman's terms, I am by no means a cap expert. I dabble. Yeah. I do math. I use a calculator. I use an abacus for those of you that know what that is. Just kidding. Basically, so the difference between what he's totally owed, which was 53 versus
51.1 according to over the cap. Yeah.
Versus what the Miami Dolphins keep in cap savings by letting him go. That money that Tyreek keeps in this case is the money that's owed to him due to restructures, due to signing bonuses that were deferred out when we first got him to like make it fit. Due to, I think we restructured his contract multiple times, which kicks the money down the road, right? We all know, most of us know how that works, right? You restructure a player. You say, okay, we're gonna convert X amount of your contract into a signing bonus. We're gonna write you a $30 million check today, and we're gonna take that $30 million and we're gonna divide it by how many years are left on your contract, so that we have a little bit of cap savings going forward. Yeah. The problem is when that player is released, whether it's post June 1st or whether it's via trade or whatever, all of that money accelerates. And in this case, because it's the last year of his contract, and I don't have the exact numbers, and we're talking super high level stuff here. There was money left from those restructures that we did, and the same goes for Bradley Chubb, and the same goes for
Yeah, I just want to. I
You
just
know,
want to say. I just wanted to say, like, high level. If
mhm.
they're wondering out there, like, what happens to the extra money? The extra money is dead money, essentially. That goes against next year's cap,
Yeah.
right? So Tyreek Hill is a dead cap hit. If he's cut post June 1st, his dead cap hit next year would be around 16 million.
Yeah, and to put some context in that, well, the dead cap money that we just talked about that we are incurring this year of 35 million is actually from Jalen Ramsey's contract, and I
Mm,
think a couple others, but the
yeah.
majority of that 35 is from Jalen Ramsey's contract.
Wow. All right. Let's move on to Chubb. Here we go.
Yeah, so I mean, a couple other like moves that I would make. I mean, I don't know where you
Sure.
sit. You tell
No,
me what you know.
tell me the moves you would make, and then I'll tell you if I agree.
Yeah, super high level. So Tyreek Hill gone, obviously.
Yeah.
Bradley Chubb, unfortunately, I think injury history, age, position of need, still has a little bit of legs left. Was our probably, in my opinion, our number one pass rusher this past year,
Mm,
which is not saying that's not a vote of confidence.
no.
um, but I think if by cutting him, I think we would save something like 18 to 20 something million by letting him go.
Yep. 20.2
Yeah.
post June 1st.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's get him off the books. And I understand those of you saying, well, hold on a minute. we're letting somebody go. That's great. And we're getting a little bit of cap relief. Awesome. However, now that's yet another position to be filled. Yes, I'm well aware. However, these are the kind of things you have to do when you are doing a full reset. You have to let go of the aging veteran players with bloated contracts and bloated salaries to allow you to reset your cap for the future years. And then obviously as a front office decide, okay, how do we want to fill it? Do we want to get a stopgap in a younger player that's coming off of a rookie contract that was maybe a mid-round pick that didn't pan out and give him a shot to revitalize his career? Do we want to play a rookie, et cetera, et cetera? So Bradley Chubb is one. Austin Jackson is another one that I would heavily consider getting rid of.
Mm,
Probably as a post June 1st cut, because I believe it's 16 to 18 million by letting him go. He's played 50%, I think 52-ish% of the snaps since we drafted him. He's a great right tackle when he's healthy and when you're great. He's a good and above average right tackle and has gotten progressively better every year. I don't think anyone can argue that.
yeah.
But I mean, if I'm paying you 18 something, whatever the hell $1 million, I want you to play more than 8 games a year. You know what I mean? On average. So he'd be another one. And those are just, and then obviously there's the big amoeba that is Tua's contract, the big anchor on
We've gotten this far without talking about it. Crazy enough.
I'm trying my best. And I have heard rumors that Ross is willing to write a very big check to basically pay a team to take him. So pay a substantial amount of his contract, whatever substantial means. We don't know what those conversations are. Those are why, a negotiation could happen. But let's say a team like the Rams, for example, I'm not saying that he's going to the Rams, but let's just use them as an example. Matt Stafford's got maybe another year or 2 left. They could trade for Tua. We would give them, of Tua's 53 million, we would pay 30, 40 million of that contract, and we would get a draft pick of some sort in return. They would get Tua in the trade, and they would pay the remainder of his contract this year and next year, and then they can decide what they want to do with him, like stuff like that.
Yeah,
so
like the Brock Osweiler deal a few years ago.
Yeah, exactly. So those kind of moves, every one of those free up money. The problem is by freeing up money, that's great. But the downside is it opens up yet another position that needs to be filled. So that's where those checks and balances have to happen.
I do wonder who came up with this formula, by the way, because like if you choose the trade option for Tua, suddenly he's saving you 43 million and he only costs 13. Whereas if you cut him, you're losing, your savings is negative 11 million.
Well,
and his dead money's 67. It's crazy.
No matter what we do with him, he is costing us just under 100 million. Trade him, cut him, post June 1st him, doesn't matter.
The difference appears to be the effect on the cap.
Yes,
and it's less of an effect on the cap if we trade him, because I guess you pay it up front or something.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's
and again, we are not cap experts. I know there are very minute details that determine, but the gist of it is what we were saying.
And you can see the basics too. If you go to Over the Cap, is a fantastic site. We are not affiliated with them, but they number crunch like you wouldn't believe. Cool site to go to just kind of see what everybody's worth. essentially what everybody's worth. I don't disagree with anybody you mentioned. I think that those three are the big question marks going into the offseason. Like, well,
Oh,
put
and
Tua aside.
Minka. Sorry.
Yeah, so Minka, the only thing we owe him is his signing bonus. We pushed his signing bonus back, which is about $3 million. So it does appear he's under contract for another year, but we just don't owe him anything if we cut him, other than that signing bonus. So there's that Minka thing. I don't know if he's going to want to stay. We'll
I hope
see.
he does. Yeah.
He may want to play with Halfley. I don't know. We'll see. Listen, the three that you pinpointed that I'm very curious to see what happens. Of course, Tua is up there. Let's not talk.
Of course.
That is the most intriguing storyline for the Miami Dolphins this offseason. The other three, though, Tyreek, Chubb, Jackson. I fully believe Tyreek is gone. I just think he has burned too many bridges in this building.
It's funny. I don't think it has anything to do with. I mean, yes, he has nuked his bridges, but it's
the money too.
You're not paying him $53 million. I don't care how good he is.
He's coming off of his knee is torn to shreds. He may not even play next season. We don't know. There hasn't been any word on that. Which that brings another question as to whether or not you can cut him when he's injured. Still, he may need to have an injury. It would be like an injury negotiation or something like that. They call it. I forget. Anyways, Chubb and Jackson, I'm very curious because I just don't know what's going to happen there. I think on the surface, it seems like easy decisions. But like you said, Chubb was our greatest pass rusher last year, and you have a defensive coach coming in to coach the team. He's going to want to keep some pass rushers, so I don't know what he's going to feel about that. Him and Sully are probably having some long, drawn-out conversations about that. And then Austin Jackson, does the new offensive line coach feel like he can get something out of him, or do they think it's better? You can get a trade for an Austin Jackson, right? Offensive linemen are impossible to not get a trade for. Like I mean, everybody needs offensive linemen.
What do you think we'd get for Jackson? Like a genuine, like not pie in the sky. Oh, we'll definitely get a second round for him. But like
third or fourth? I mean, fourth would be
is what
realistic,
I
think. Yeah. Third if somebody's desperate, but I think a fourth is realistic. Which make it a fourth in 2027 while we're at it.
No, I'll either take a fourth now or
a third in 2027.
Or a third in 2027, yeah. That would be my starting bid.
If teams like the 2027 class as much as the media does, I don't think they would do that.
I do. Dude, like it could be historical.
Yeah.
Like
that's what people are saying. That's what people are saying. All right, let's see. So we've talked about what Miami should do, what we think Miami should do. What do you think realistically Miami does do, though? Like, which of these moves are they actually going to make? Are there some surprise people we're not even thinking about right now?
It's hard to know, right? I'm not too familiar with obviously personally, I don't know.
We have to take some swings here. Josh.
No, I know. And I think if I was making the decisions, and that's how I looked at this when we were planning the show, what Miami would most likely do if Josh was running the front office, or what I think the best case scenarios are for this team, both in the immediate and in the long term, would be re-signing Brewer, re-signing Brooks, re-signing Achane. I know Achane's going to be very expensive. I know Brooks is going to be very expensive. I know Brewer is going to be very expensive. And people are like, well, wait a minute. You just told us that we don't have any fucking cap money. Yes. However, believe it or not, by re-signing those three players, you can structure NFL contracts in which you get paid a signing bonus, which again, so let's say we sign Achane to a contract that averages, I'm making this up, 19 million a year. You can say, all right, in the first year, we're going to give you the majority of that. We're going to give you of the $18 million contract, the average yearly contract that you signed with us. We're going to give you 17 of that as a signing bonus. And we're going to divide that by the 5 years that we just signed you for. And your cap hit, Achane, for this year alone, this 2026 season is going to be $1 million. Like things like that you can do. And next year, obviously, when the cap goes up even more, and when we have bloated contracts off our calendar, we're going to have, assuming some of these decisions are made that we have called out, Tua's gone, Tyreek Hill's gone, Austin Jackson gone, and Bradley Chubb are gone, we'll have close to 70, 80 million in cap space. And then in the following year, assuming, depending on how money's spent, we'll have over 100 million. I mean, so the money's coming. So that's why kicking some of these re-signings will actually open up quite a lot of money for us as well. I think, post June 1st designations on you can only do two. NFL teams can only do two post June 1st cuts a year. So whatever those two are, that opens up money as well, and that gives you a little bit of flexibility. I would say probably, I don't know how you feel, but I think this team should avoid star hunting, big free agency moves. Like we need to rip this thing down to the studs, and you've heard me say that a million times. You guys have heard us say it a million times.
Yeah.
So avoid the big star. Like, don't go after the number one safety. Don't go after a top 5 wide receiver. Or, I mean, I could see maybe if you wanted to pay an offensive lineman or maybe a above average cornerback a little bit of money, like in the 8 million range, maybe. You know what I mean?
I'm curious if we would even be able to attract one at this point. I mean,
True.
Hafley was not a splash signing, right?
No.
That
I
know
mean it's
that
a bad signing.
No. I know
Yeah.
people around the NFL, players, other coaches love him, but from a media perspective, not like nobody's talking up the Dolphins, right? And a lot of players who have never met him might be looking to the media to be like, "Is this a place I actually want to go?"
Yeah.
And plus, our cap situation is a disaster. So then, like, you have to find people who are willing to take money later rather than now. I don't foresee. I would be shocked if we even have a single star free agent, which I put in quotes because I don't think there's such thing. But you know what I mean? A high value free agent on the agenda at this point.
I mean, so what are your thoughts? What do you see Miami like most likely doing? Like keeping some of our own, going really young, developing in the draft, which is something Sully said. Like, what's your vision?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think it's going to be a very boring free agency for us. I don't foresee us partaking very much. I think they want to get a feel for what they have on the roster. I think they want to bring in their draft class and then reassess what they have on the roster. And then I think post June 1st, when it doesn't count towards the compensatory pick calculation anymore, they'll start to fill in the gaps. And we're going to end up with a team in the preseason that's not very popular. We're going to be at the bottom of a lot of preseason rankings lists.
As we should be. I mean, that's not a slide on us.
No, and I think it's just, to me, they keep talking about doing things the right way and the way that they've learned how to do it. And the way they learned how to do it was building their own and lifting up their own players, which is why I think it's part of the reason why I think Austin Jackson does have a good chance to stay.
Sure.
He is one of the very, very few homegrown people that we have on this team. Like, let's be clear here. There are, like, you could probably count on one hand how many people there are on this roster that were drafted back when Austin Jackson was drafted.
Yeah. And one of them I'm begging to get rid of. So,
yeah. So I agree with you. I think there are some very important re-signings to take care of in Jordan Brooks and Aaron Brewer and Devon Achane. So I think, go ahead.
Here's the real question, but go ahead and finish your thought first, because I have a hard-hitting question that I know I've been asked online a lot by our fans.
And by the way, we're going to talk a lot more about free agency here in a minute. We're still on a cap situation. So from a cap standpoint, I want to see them post June 1st, Tua and Tyreek, figure out the Chubb situation, right? Figure out the Austin Jackson situation. I think offensive line depth is hard to come by, so if you want to keep him for another year, fine, right? Do the re-signings we just talked about, Brewer, Achane, Brooks, get them locked down. And then just see what happens. See who's available, see who's interested in coming to you, and just play it on like a one-by-one basis, right?
Yeah, I mean, James Daniels and who's the other guy we signed in that ended up playing a lot at right tackle when Austin went down? Borum. Those are two I'm really curious to see what happens, because we can cut both of them and there's a little bit of savings, or we can keep both of them for depth, right? What are your thoughts on the quarterback position? Right. So let's assume I don't think we have to assume Tua is not an option. If he's on this team, he's the third emergency quarterback. He's probably gone. I think there's a 75% chance that Tua's gone this offseason. But he might stick around and be the emergency quarterback because financially it doesn't make sense. So what options does that leave us? That leaves us with Quinn Ewers currently on the roster, or a rookie quarterback in the draft, which I doubt, or a 1 or 2 year flyer on a lesser quality quarterback a la Malik Willis, or maybe Kirk Cousins for a year, or insert other player, Marcus Mariota for a year, who played really well in Atlanta,
Yeah.
or really well in air quotes. So where do you see us going? And it's really hard to say because again, we just got these coaches, right?
Yeah.
But in your gut, where do you see us going? Sticking with yours and saying, you know what, fuck it, let's go super young, let's see who hits and who doesn't, and let's make some decisions next year in 2027 when we have some money. Or do you see him bringing in somebody like Malik Willis, who they're used to because they both came from Green Bay, or taking a flyer on an aging veteran for a year or two as a stopgap?
Yeah, I'll be honest. We're going to talk a lot more about this on Thursday's episode, so I don't want to go too in depth
Okay,
here. But
fair. That's fair.
listen. I'll scratch the surface.
Scratch the itch, Anthony.
Bringing in Kirk Cousins does absolutely
No.
nothing to move the needle for me.
No, that was just a name. Sorry.
Yeah, in fact, I get less excited about the team when I think about that potential move.
Yeah.
Malik Willis is obviously very intriguing. He had a lot of success under the coaching staff over there in Green Bay. I would be curious to see what Bobby Slowick could do with him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Bobby Slowick is as talented as LaFleur up there in Green Bay when it comes to developing the quarterback. We'll have to see. I think he did very well with CJ, obviously, in his rookie year. And honestly, I think we may be looking at a year of Quinn Ewers.
Not a bad thing.
Which, I mean, I think it is.
I mean, it's not a great thing.
I don't know what other choice we have given the current cap situation, especially if we say, okay, Tua, adios.
Yeah. And I will say this. I have been a moderately quiet advocate for, hey, Malik Willis could look good for a year or two, right? But the more I thought about it, the more I currently think, and we'll talk about this later and tomorrow, or on our, not tomorrow, but on our next Thursday show. I kind of like the idea of sticking with Ewers. I mean, look, he had some good stuff, he had some bad stuff. He was a 7th-round rookie. I didn't expect anything from him. I wasn't a fan of him coming out of college, but he did show some good stuff. So I'll be curious to see what they do. I will.
That's a good segue, though, into
almost like we know what we're doing.
Our competitive window. So we've talked about our cap situation. Let's talk about our competitive window, man. So we're seeing teams like the Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots, the 2 Super Bowl teams this year, who were absolute monumental disasters. Seattle just 2 years ago, New England last year, 4-13 last year. They finished 13-4 this year. So where are we looking at Miami realistically in this competitive window? Are we looking at this unit, the expectations for this new staff to do the same thing? Are we being like, okay, you guys adopted a shit situation. You have a quarterback who is owed $99 million and you're about to kick him out the door. Not a hugely talented roster at the time. But this same team for the past 4 years with Mike won at least X number of games all 4 of those years, right? So you personally, nobody else, you personally, what are your expectations going into this season? But before we even know any of the roster moves, just like your initial, okay, he has a roster that finished with 7 wins last year. What can he do next year?
Top 5 draft pick. I mean, and that's not me being like, woe is me, woe is us, we're going to suck. Look, this is, in my scenario, in my mind, when I sat down and thought about if you and I were running the organization,
sure,
I want this thing, I want all of the cancer and rot, just like all the mold and mildew from the previous regime scrubbed. I need this thing torn down to the studs. We need a cap reset. We need a hard cap reset. We need a talent reset. We need a youth movement, continue the youth movement. And I think 2026 is going to be, dude, it's going to be tough. We are going to, hopefully, according to, Halfley and Sully, we're not going to we're not throwing our hands up. We're going to try to be as competitive as possible. Sure. But I mean, if we win 4 games, I think that's a success. I mean, looking at the roster we have today, and I understand what I'm about to say is a very controversial topic. I apologize ahead of time, Anthony, but we have the 2nd hardest strength of schedule. And I understand teams are different every year, and moves and offensive people, they lose players and they get players in free agency and draft. And well aware, right? And you just called 2 teams that went from the basement to the Super Bowl. I understand that things happen, but again, what we're looking at now is we have the second hardest strength of schedule in the NFL next year. And we have one of the worst teams, in my opinion, because of what we have to do to get ourselves into a healthy cap situation going forward, what we have to do a culture reset. I mean, if we, like I said, if we win 4 or 5 games, that I think home run.
Yeah.
If we win more, phenomenal. But my expectations are realistic. I mean, we're gonna be. You thought we were young this year.
Yeah.
We're gonna be infantile next year because because of the cap situation. We're going to have to so heavily rely on second year players that have been cut, rookies that we're going to draft, undrafted rookies that we're going to bring in, and players that are on, that are young, coming off of, that were maybe mid to late round picks coming from teams where they weren't able to stick, but we want to give them a second chance. That is what this team is going to be constructed of, in my opinion.
They've sucked me right back in, my friend. Listening to Sully, listening to Halfley, they've sucked me right back in. I mean, and we've been on this show for the entire 2025 season. By the end of the season, I just about quit because I could not stand watching this team anymore. Like, that's how annoyed I was with this team, with just the decision making that was going on. But the fact that we finally got the full reset we've been looking for, the fact that we brought in guys who I relate to so much because they do the exact things that I would do if I were in their position, right? They're looking for the exact traits that I am in favor of. They're looking for the exact type of football that I'm in favor of. Like, so everything they're doing is just like, they're just sitting here patting me on everything's going to be okay, Anthony. It's going to be fine. We're going to be great, right? I'm seeing 6 or 7 wins. I'm thinking if Mike McDaniel can win 7 wins with this team, can get 7 wins with this team, and I think Halfley and Sully are going to do things better, then who am I to say that they can't also win 7 games next year? And the reason I say that is I know that the roster on paper is going to be likely very horrific. It's not a team you want to play with in Madden. Let's put it that way. But if they get the buy-in in year 1, like we saw with Vrabel in New England, right?
Yeah.
Like, that team won 4 games last year, and he added 30 new players, which we're going to do this year, right? We're going to add 30 new players this year because he got guys who were his culture, who bought into his system, who bought into his stuff. If they get guys who buy in and are playing tough, right? Playing for each other, playing for the love of the game, all of the things that they keep talking about in their interviews. If they get that buy-in in year 1, I don't see how they don't win 7 games. And maybe that's putting a lot of pressure on them. Sure, it is. But I see the vision and I see how it could work. And I see an opportunity in a division or in a conference where the juggernauts are starting to stumble a little. And then I'm just starting to see, like, hey, maybe we can be somewhat competitive next year.
Sure. Yeah, no, and please understand, everything that I said has zero, it's zero negative reflection on who we hired and what the vision. I hang on every single word that these two say, because to your point, we are the same age or very close to each other, and this is
2 months apart,
right? What they are saying and how they are building it is everything you and I talk about offline.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, if you and I were running this franchise, this is how I would do it. We would build through the draft. We would keep our own players. We would do the best we can. We would try to prop them up. We would do this. We would do that. That is everything that they're saying.
Yeah.
And, we're going to scheme according to the players that we have, and we're going to build a scheme accordingly. We're not going to be very one-dimensional. We're not going to be very rigid in our scheme and our play design and how we, like, all of that stuff. Like, nom, give it to me, right? It's just the reality of the NFL is going to hit us really hard as well. And that, again, is not an indictment or any kind of shade to Halfley or the coaching staff. These guys get from me, and I just will speak from me, at least 5 years, if not longer, to really kind of reset this franchise and point it in the direction that I feel like it should have been pointed back when, Chris Greer and all 58 coaches we've had since Wannstedt.
So obviously the biggest thing moving the pendulum for this team this year is the Tua situation,
of course.
right? No decision made this offseason is going to have a bigger impact on this team.
Mhm.
So how do you think this decision kind of alters our Super Bowl competitiveness? Now, that's the only point of being in the NFL is to
Of
win
course.
a Super Bowl. And I've said
Mhm.
that 1,000 times on the show, and I said it on the Fins Forecast when we were on the Fins Forecast,
Mhm.
and I've sure been laughed at a lot. But if you're not watching your team to potentially see them ever win a Super Bowl, then what is even the point,
Mhm.
right? So let's say that things go well here. These guys actually know what they're doing, but there's this huge situation hanging over their head,
Mhm.
the Tua contract. How does the Super Bowl window look if we don't cut him versus if we do cut him? Or is there no change and it's the same?
No, I mean, for me, I don't think there is a change because I think
Yeah,
he's no longer in the, well, maybe Tua could start for us.
sure.
Yeah, I mean, outside of Quinn Ewers breaking his fibia and whoever we bring in, rookie or free agent wise, getting hit by a car, and the water boy dislocating his shoulder, maybe to a place for us, right? And I say that very tongue in cheek, but I think he is so far removed from this team's formula and from this team's vision and from this team's plan that I don't think it alters
Yeah,
our window and what the timeline is for us to get back to the Super Bowl. None of this is I'm not trying to talk shit about Tua. I'm not a fan of him on what he's put on the field in the last 2 years. I hope he gets a chance somewhere else because I think he needs it. And I think he could
yeah.
thrive taking a couple years, getting his mind healthy, getting his body healthy. And maybe he gets another chance to start down the road, but it won't be for us. And because of that, and because it's no longer what it was this year, where, well, is Tua's not good? Why is he still starting? Who's going to back him? This regime is coming in and saying, well, we didn't want Tua. We didn't draft Tua. We don't need Tua. He's the emergency third quarterback until we trade him.
Certainly not a guy they would have drafted
No,
either. He
no,
doesn't fit their mold.
no.
Last thing I'll say on this before we move on to our final topic of the show, which is going to be our approach to free agency is
Mhm,
and our approach to the offseason is you mentioned it before, and we just talked about the pendulum that is the Tua contract.
mhm.
If we chose to keep him just because of the money, that destroys all future flexibility, right? Like it's it
Well,
just
what do you mean by keeping him? Meaning keeping him this year to cut him next year, or rolling with like, hey, you know what? We can fix him. We're gonna
right.
keep him.
I think just purely contractually,
Mhm.
this contract is going to destroy our flexibility for the next 2 years, whether we keep him or not.
For the next
Right?
year, this year.
Yeah.
It's going to destroy our this year. Yeah.
But the light at the end of that tunnel is that Stephen Ross is willing to do whatever it takes to
Mhm,
help soften that blow, even pay another team to take him.
mhm.
So I just I made this last thing I wanted to say because Ross gets shit on a lot, rightfully so. Rightfully so. Josh and I came into the season as huge Ross fans, and my feelings about him have gone steadily down the whole season, and then he fired everybody and it went back up.
Yep.
Um,
I'm back on the
but
Ross wagon after he made those decisions.
but I just want to highlight that. Like,
Mhm.
ask the Bengals how happy they would be if their owner was willing to do something like that, right? Ask Joe Burrow how happy he would be if their owner was like, that's it.
Whatever it
That's
takes.
it. It's just a mini highlight of something good that the owner's willing to do to help the team out. If you ever thought to yourself that Steven Ross doesn't want to win, you're just
Most
fooling
people do,
yourself.
which is shocking to me.
He is a fan. He doesn't live in Miami.
Yeah.
He's a fan of the Miami Dolphins. He lives up here in New York, where I'm
Mhm,
at.
mhm.
But he's a fan of the Miami Dolphins, so he bought the team as a fan. If you think he doesn't want to win, I don't really know what to tell you. Imagine you buying the team and then everybody, all the fans of the team that you love saying that you don't want to win,
It's great. While also shelling out billions of dollars to
selling out
yeah,
billions. He
yeah.
paid for the stadium, right? The
And
public funding got shut down. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, which I think all billion, by the way, this is a completely different topic and we'll never talk about it on this show. But you should pay for your own goddamn stadium.
100%.
Like, get
100%.
the fuck out of here with the
Yeah.
public funding. It's so ridiculous. Anyways,
Yes, it is.
let's move on. Final topic of today's show: aggressive versus conservative. How do we want to see the Dolphins be in free agency, and how do we think they will be in free agency and in the draft and in the offseason in general? It's a new regime, Josh. We've talked a lot about it in this
Mhm.
episode already. We don't truly know. So this is where we're putting on our magic caps and our magic capes and all that other stuff, and we're taking our best guess. We have a magic 8 ball. Exactly, Harry Potter over here. So let's talk first about the pros and cons of going all in. Let's talk pros and cons of just saying, F it. Cut everybody, sign everybody. Let's get this shit done this year and go for gold. Next year, we're going to make the playoffs. Sounds great, doesn't it? But reality of the situation seems a little different.
Yeah, and kind of, how I approach this was like aggressive spending to try to stay relevant versus conservative, meaning,
Exactly.
hey, we're gonna pump the brakes and stuff. So I think from an aggressive standpoint, this would look like us going after and impact, multiple impact defenders.
Yeah.
So to try to shore up, and our head coach, who happens to be a defensive coach, that side of the ball. Yeah. Maybe going after and signing Malik Willis, who's probably going to be in the 18 to 22 million range per year. Right. And signing him as a quarterback, getting another wide receiver, really just doing the Saints move, which is we're going to restructure everybody. We're going to kick contracts down the road. We'll figure it out later. Let's just try to stay relevant, versus a conservative approach to this, kind of going all in, or rather not going all in, which is how I would do it, which is really resetting this roster, cutting the vets with bloated salaries, which we talked about earlier, making some of those really tough decisions. Minka, personal favorite of mine, fan favorite of this team. We drafted him. We let him go. He came back. I wish and hope desperately that we resign him, but he's going to be expensive. So maybe it doesn't make sense. We have to let him walk out the door again. Yeah. Continuing to build through this draft, which something you and I glazed Sully over, which is he says it every chance he get. This is my philosophy. My being Sully's philosophy. I am going to draft players and we are going to develop them and we're going to keep them in house and we're going to re-sign them and we're going to re-sign them again. Yeah. And just getting younger where and when we can, and possibly even trading back in this draft, which is not something the fans are going to love, which we can talk about later. But trying to accumulate resources for when we are in better cap situations in 2027 and 2028, meaning more draft picks and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I think that the obvious, pros of going all aggressive is that you get big names, you get the splash, you get the buzz, you get everybody talking, you get everybody excited. The casual fans are rolling through the streets saying, "Hey, you see we signed Trey Hendrickson?" Right? Like they know the names. So
the Madden players.
Right, like that's the exciting piece, is you get the big names, and that's what we've done the past few years, right? Like we were talk of the league. Stephen A is saying we're Super Bowl bound, and all the guys who usually hate us are loving us now, and it's fantastic, but it didn't buy us shit. But more agony.
1 year.
Yeah, we had one good year in which we couldn't beat a team above 500 to save our lives. And while I love the splash, you and I were very excited about Tyree. I was very excited. I was very excited about Bradley Chubb and all the other big plays that we made. I was very excited when Tua started playing well. And we brought in Jalen Ramsey. I wasn't excited for that one, but a lot of people were excited to bring in Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah.
We brought in Minka Fitzpatrick, which I was pumped about last year. Yep. But it didn't get us anywhere because the foundation was never here.
Yeah.
It was all splash and no substance. And that's the biggest con of trying to go all in, is that your team ends up being a con artist, right? It's all flash, no substance. It wins some games you shouldn't win. It loses a lot of games you should win. And it just, overall, you just never get there. You never take the next step, right? And half the league does this, right? There's multiple teams who have never won a Super Bowl still. And the Minnesota Vikings ended up winning 13 games last year. They don't win a single playoff game.
Yep.
Conservative mode is the way to go. We haven't tried it.
Nope.
I don't know. Maybe we've tried it in our lifetime, but I certainly don't remember.
Yeah, not off the top of my head. Nope.
So, why not try something new? Yup, it's boring. Yup, it's slow. Yup, it's not flashy. And every single talking head that you listen to on ESPN and all of that stuff are going to absolutely eviscerate us for not doing anything in free agency, for not being more aggressive in the draft. And that's okay. Because we've done all that and we've gotten nowhere. So let's try something new. The trying something new comes with its own set of
potential pitfalls.
Set of pitfalls.
Potential.
Because while you are slow rolling it now, right? We're slow rolling, we're signing, we're building our own guys, we're building our own team. But if you hit year 5 and you don't have a core to rely on,
Yeah.
that slow roll just lost you 5 years for absolutely
Yeah,
nothing.
you're firing everyone.
Because those guys, right, and those guys are leaving, right?
Yeah.
Anybody who's not a first round pick is only on a 4-year contract, they're out the door. Any of the first round picks have 5-year contracts, so the ones from this year, the 2026 draft, out the door. So like if you don't hit on at I don't know, 35-40% of the players to build your core,
Mhm.
then you're screwed.
Yeah. Well, but then we're having this conversation in 5 years about, hey, we got
Right.
this new head coach and a new GM, and here's their philosophy. We're gonna see if that works. And that's the life cycle of the NFL.
And I think the reality is it's a mix.
Of course.
I mean, we saw the Rams do it, right? We saw Rams do it the aggressive spend way, get rid of all these draft picks. Who the hell needs draft picks anyways, right?
Yeah.
That was the first time they went to the Super Bowl.
Mhm.
This time, they did it the other way. Jared Verse and Braden Fisk and all these other homegrown talents,
Love
right?
it. Yep.
And they almost went back to it. They haven't gone back to the Super Bowl, but they had an
Pretty
MVP.
close. Yeah.
They had the MVP of the league this year. They had one of the best defenses in the league,
Mhm.
right? Both of their coordinators were going for jobs, for head coaching jobs.
Mhm.
So, like, it's a mix. And I do think that Sully and Hafley understand that. But I don't think you're going to see that mix this year because there's no foundation here.
Nope.
We do not have a Matt Stafford. We do not have a defensive tackle for the Rams who recently retired. I'm blanking on his name.
Aaron Donald.
Aaron Donald. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right?
Or a Puka, right? Puka's on the Rams, isn't he?
Well, Puka's is only a second year, but yeah.
But I mean, that's a foundational piece.
No, I
There
know,
is-
but
there
like
is
when
one.
they went aggressive, back when they went
Yeah.
aggressive, they had
Mhm.
Stafford, they had Donald, they had their anchors on both sides of the
Mhm.
ball. We don't have any anchors.
Whoa. Yes, we do.
We have
we
no
have-
anchors.
We have Quinn Ewers and we have Chop Robinson. Okay.
So like let's talk about just a few
Okay.
situations and it'll be quick.
Mhm.
You tell me if you think it's a pro, tell me if you think it's a con. We don't even need an explanation. All right.
Got it. Rapid fire.
We hold off on moves till post June 1st so that we get more compensatory picks.
I think that's a pro.
There's major openings on the roster, but instead of going hog wild in free agency, we wait for the draft, try to fill them in the draft, and then backfill after the draft
That's-
in the second round of free agency.
That's the biggest pro. That's exactly what I would do. So I love that. Yes.
We trade down from 11 to 23.
I don't have an answer because it
Oh, you
depends-
have to have an answer. Yeah.
because it depends on who's there. But I honestly, right today, without knowing, I would say trade down because I want capital, draft capital.
We start Tua Tagovailoa this year.
Kill me.
That
quit.
wasn't one of my real ones. I just thought about it
I
last
quit.
second.
I jump off a bridge. I don't know. Something.
Real talk though, and then we'll close out the show. Let's talk risk tolerance here. All
Okay.
right? So
Mhm.
signing a veteran QB for big money is a huge risk,
Very
right?
much so. Yep.
Keeping Tua on his contract is also a big risk, but from a different standpoint. The first one's an aggressive risk. The second one is a conservative risk.
Mhm.
Both, I would say, equally risky.
Yep.
You know what you got in Tua, but you're just holding on for hope and holding on
Mhm.
to turn him around. You don't really know what you're getting in the free agent quarterback. You may have seen him on the field a couple times in a different system, but you don't truly know what you're getting in your house, especially
Mhm.
in Miami where there's a billion things to do. It seems to distract players quite easily, right? What about versus the draft? What
Mhm.
about Tua versus trading back in the first round and taking Ty Simpson in the late 20s or mid to late 20s of the 2026 NFL draft?
Are those my only options?
Yes.
Unfortunately, I'm taking Ty Simpson, but I don't like either of those options. Yeah.
But
Look,
what's the risk there though?
so
Which
the-
is riskier, do you think?
I mean, I think riskier would be probably Ty Simpson because again, you don't really know the risk versus reward. It's costing you a
Yeah.
substantial draft capital pick, a pick in the top 20, assuming you trade back, because you definitely don't take them at 11. Versus money and attitude and locker room health by going with Tua. And not for nothing, implementing your vision of this team goes like right into the face of keeping Tua as your starting quarterback.
Yep.
You need to reset. You need to level set. And so, I mean, I think it's going with a young, unproven quarterback. You never know. He could be the next best thing. He could most likely going to be a bust. I'm not a huge Ty Simpson fan, but I just think, I don't know. I don't like either of those options. Sorry.
And it's a real world example. And I wanted to end the show on that because I wanted to just get fans thinking of the real decisions that are going down in the Miami Dolphins front office right now.
Yeah.
These are real conversations that are happening about how they're going to construct the roster, what the options are for constructing the roster. Do we trade down and try to get somebody like a Ty Simpson, or enter name of quarterback here that you like as QB2? I don't care. I don't care what his name is. The names don't matter. Do you want to try to trade down in this draft and get a quarterback? Do you want to wait till the second round or third round and try to get a quarterback? Do you want to try to give Tua another chance? Do you want to try to sign somebody like Malik Willis? Like, all of these things are being assessed from a risk standpoint.
And
right?
I do think it's important to say too, one thing that has been touted over and over again from both our head coach and our GM, we are going to draft a quarterback every year or every other year.
Yes.
So when we draft a quarterback this year, because it will happen.
Oh, we're taking one this year for sure.
It'll probably be in the second, third, fourth round, probably third or fourth. Don't be surprised. And that does not mean that, hey, this is their guy. This is what Green Bay did. You take a guy, you see what you have, and you move on quick if he doesn't got it.
The media is going to tell you that it's their guy.
Of course he is.
Stop.
The first quarterback this regime takes.
Right.
It's their guy. No.
Third round quarterbacks are not their guy. They're throwing a dart and hoping it hits the bullseye.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Garrett Nussmeier is not Jeff Hafley's first choice of quarterback.
Well, that's the thing. There's one quarterback in this draft who is worth a first round pick. And some would argue that maybe Mendoza is not even worth a first round pick.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not there yet, but I understand.
The Raiders are going to spend the first overall pick potentially on him. And that could potentially set the franchise back 5+ years if he doesn't work out. Now, I like Mendoza. I hope he does work out, whatever. But I'm just saying the talent level is not there. So when we're talking quarterbacks, we're talking the second tier of quarterbacks, and that's even worse. We're talking Greg, I don't even know if his first name is Greg, Nussmeier. We're talking Alar. We're talking, I don't know, Klubnik and the other kid from Ole Miss who still hasn't gone to the draft because he's fighting the school about getting another 6 years of eligibility.
Beck
or whatever.
from UM.
And
like,
Beck from Miami, who I'm sure University of Miami fans are clamoring for, which I do not like him at all.
Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting offseason. We're going to be here for every single freaking second of it because we love the offseason. This episode, we've had to try to bite our tongues so much because we want to talk specifics, but really it's a primer to the offseason, what we expect, what we hope to see, what we might see, all of that stuff. So please, in the comments below, what do you expect to see from this team? And what do you want to do yourself? Like, I want both perspectives. Don't just give me what you want to do. Put on your Jeff Hafley and Sullivan cap too, and tell me what they're going to do. I need to hear it from you, right? By the way, we have 1 day left in our goal for 150 subscribers by February 11th. This show goes out at 7 p.m. Eastern on February 10th. So that gives you just about 29 hours to hit the goal. We're only 4 subscribers away, though. So if you've watched the show and you've liked even 2 seconds of it, please hit the subscribe button. It helps us out a ton. YouTube really does choose which videos to send off to other people based on how many subs you have, and we need the subs, and not Subway kind either. Oh, you can send me some Subway.
Hey, I'll take some Subway.
Yeah, just saying. All right. 150 subscribers by February 11th. We are doing a giveaway if we hit it. We are 4 away. Help us out. If we don't hit it, unfortunately, we will not do the giveaway. We'll talk about whether or not we want to do it on the next goal, but right now that's not a guarantee. So if we don't hit the 150 subscriber goal by February 11th, let's just assume that we're not going to give anything away. All right.
Except our time and our love.
Well,
and our fandom.
This is our swan song. Hey, that'll do it. That was our episode, off-season preparation with the Miami Dolphins. Thank you so much for listening. For Josh, a.k.a. Aqua Ace, over here to my left, I'm Anthony Pinzone. This has been the 305 Gridiron. Thank you so much for listening, and until next time, fins up, baby.